His lips were on hers before Sandra could think, before she could breathe, before the world could tell her this was wrong. The kiss was everything, urgent and tender, desperate and careful, like he was drowning and she was air. His hand cradled the back of her head, fingers threading through her hair, while his other hand pressed against the small of her back, pulling her closer. She tasted champagne and something darker, more dangerous. Her hands found his chest, felt his heart racing beneath expensive fabric. Somewhere in the haze, a camera flashed. People were watching. She didn't care. In this moment, nothing existed except the heat between them, the way her body fit against his like missing puzzle pieces finally connecting. "Come with me," he whispered against her mouth, Korean accent wrapping around the English words like silk. His dark eyes held hers, asking a question she didn't understand but desperately wanted to answer. She heard herself say yes. Heard herself laugh as he took her hand, leading her through a crowded hotel bar toward the elevators. Felt herself pull him back for another kiss as the elevator doors closed, shutting out the world and sealing in whatever this was between them. Then everything went black. Not metaphorically. Literally. The memory just stopped, like someone had cut the film. Before we proceed, I'd like to know which country you're watching from. Like this video and hit that subscribe button. Now, let's continue. Sandra Williams opened her eyes to unfamiliar ceiling and immediate panic. Silk sheets. Expensive ones. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's skyline from what had to be 30 floors up. This wasn't her apartment. This wasn't her bed. These definitely weren't her sheets. She sat up. The sheet fell. She was completely naked. Her heart hammered against her ribs as her eyes adjusted, taking in the massive penthouse suite, the minimalist luxury, the scattered trail of clothing across polished marble floors. Her dress. Her heels. A man's shirt draped elegantly over a leather chair. And beside her in the bed. A man. Asian. Impossibly handsome even in sleep. Dark hair tousled against white pillowcases. His back was turned, revealing an elaborate dragon tattoo that curved from shoulder blade to spine, surrounded by delicate Korean characters and cherry blossoms that somehow made the dangerous imagery look almost artistic. Sandra's phone buzzed on the nightstand. Again. And again. She grabbed it with trembling hands. 47 missed calls. 183 text messages. All from Marcus. Marcus. Her boyfriend of 4 years. The man who was supposed to propose to her tonight. The man she loved. The man who. A notification banner appeared at the top of her screen, the words blurring as tears filled her eyes. "You're trending on Twitter. Hashtag cheating Sandra night." No. Please, God, no. She clicked with fingers that wouldn't stop shaking. Twitter loaded. The video was pinned at the top, already at 2.3 million views. And there she was. In high definition. In living color. Kissing the stranger in her bed. Not just kissing, melting into him. Her hands in his hair. His hands on her waist. The way she'd looked up at him like he was everything. The camera following them to the elevator. Another kiss, even more passionate, as the doors closed. The comments were brutal. She has a whole man at home LMAOO. Marcus deserves so much better. Girl that's Lee Min Jae-un. The Korean mob prince. She just ruined her entire life. This is messier than a drama. I can't look away. If you're already hooked, drop a like right now and tell me in the comments, have you ever done something you couldn't remember? Because Sandra's about to discover this is just the beginning. Sandra's stomach lurched violently. She scrambled out of bed, grabbing her dress with shaking hands, trying to remember anything about last night after the third glass of champagne. Client dinner at 6. Drinks with coworkers at 8. Someone ordering more champagne. Then, nothing. A complete black hole where her memory should be. This couldn't be real. She wouldn't cheat. She loved Marcus. They were building a life together. She'd never even looked at another man since they'd started dating. She was halfway to the door, hopping on one foot while trying to pull on her shoe, when a voice stopped her. Leaving without saying goodbye? The voice was deep, smooth, touched with a Korean accent that somehow made English sound like music. That's rude, Sandra. She spun around. The man was awake now, propped up on one elbow, watching her with dark eyes that held no surprise. Just calm observation. He was shirtless, and in the morning light she could see more tattoos, cherry blossoms wrapped around his ribs, more Korean characters she couldn't read, ink that looked expensive and deliberate. How do you know my name? You told me. Last night. Along with your entire life story, your dreams, your fears, and your very strong opinions about Korean street food versus American soul food. You were very passionate about fried chicken. I don't remember any of that. Obviously. He sat up fully, completely comfortable with his half-dressed state in a way that made Sandra very aware of her own dishevelment. I'm Lee Min-jun. You really don't remember? The name tickled something in her memory. Something dark. Something dangerous. The comments, they said you're Korean Mafia? He smiled, and it transformed his face from dangerous to devastating. Mafia is such a crude American term. I prefer to say I have complicated business interests. Sandra's legs weakened. She sat down hard on the edge of the bed, still clutching one shoe. This can't be happening. And yet, here we are. You, me, and 2.3 million witnesses. He picked up his phone from the nightstand, completely unbothered by his bare chest. 2.6 million now, actually. You're going viral. Stop saying that like it's a good thing. Isn't it? You're famous. People are talking about you. Your name is trending. His tone was maddeningly calm. My life is ruined. That's dramatic. Your current life configuration is disrupted. But life itself? Still very much intact. He stood, pulling on black slacks with fluid grace. Though I suppose your boyfriend might have different opinions about the situation. Marcus. The name came out as a sob. Sandra looked at her phone again. The missed calls had stopped. In their place was a single text, sent an hour ago. I can't believe you did this. I'm done. 4 years. 4 years of love and partnership and building something together, destroyed in a 30-second video. I need to call him. I need to explain. Explain what? That you don't remember? He won't believe you. The video is very clear. You weren't unconscious. You were participating. Enthusiastically. Someone must have drugged me. This isn't, I would never. Actually, Min-jun's voice lost its playful edge, becoming serious. You're probably right about the drugging part. Just wrong about who did it. Sandra's head snapped up. What? It wasn't me, if that's what you're thinking. I don't need to drug women to get them into my bed. But someone definitely put something in your drink last night. The question is who? And why? How would you know that? Because I've seen it before. The way you were moving, the glazed look in your eyes, the memory loss, classic rohypnol, probably mixed with something else. You were targeted, Sandra. The question is whether it was random or deliberate. The room spun. Sandra gripped the edge of the bed. I'm going to be sick. Bathroom is through there. Please try not to vomit on the Italian marble. She barely made it, emptying her stomach while her mind raced. Drugged. Targeted. Viral video. Marcus leaving her. This couldn't be real. This had to be a nightmare. When she emerged, shaky and pale, Min-jun was waiting with a glass of water and 2 aspirin. Drink. You need to hydrate. Why are you being nice to me? Who says I'm being nice? I'm being practical. You're in my penthouse, you're famous now, and you're connected to me whether you like it or not. The last thing I need is you passing out from dehydration. Sandra took the water, drank it carefully. Her hands were still shaking. I need to go. I need to talk to Marcus. I need to fix this. You can't fix it. Not yet. But I might be able to help you figure out who did this. And why? Why would you help me? Minjun was quiet for a moment, an unreadable expression crossing his face. Because despite what that video shows, and despite what everyone thinks, I didn't plan this. Someone is using you to send me a message. And I don't like being played with. What kind of message? That's what we need to find out. But first, he pulled a business card from seemingly nowhere, held it out. Simple black card, embossed silver numbers. You need to go home. Try to salvage what you can with your boyfriend. When that fails, and it will fail, call me. Because you're going to need answers. And I'm the only one who can give them to you. I don't want your help. You don't want my help. But you're going to need it. There's a difference. His eyes met hers, and for a moment she saw something almost like concern there. Be careful, Sandra. Whoever did this to you isn't finished. Sandra snatched the card, grabbed her things, and fled without looking back. She couldn't let herself think about the way his concern had sounded genuine. Couldn't acknowledge the part of her that wanted to stay and hear more. This man had destroyed her life. Whatever his reasons, whatever his explanations, she needed to get as far away from him as possible. The taxi ride home felt like swimming through molasses. Every red light was torture. Every minute meant more damage control needed. By the time she reached her apartment, her phone had died from the constant barrage of notifications. She plugged it in, watched it power up, and immediately regretted it. Messages flooded in. Friends wanting to know if she was okay. Family asking what had happened. Coworkers with thinly veiled judgment. And through it all, silence from the one person who mattered. She called Marcus anyway. It went straight to voicemail. Marcus, please. Please pick up. I know what the video looks like, but I swear I don't remember any of it. I think someone drugged me. I would never, ever do this to you. I love you. Please just let me explain. Please. The voicemail cut her off. Time limit reached. Sandra sank onto her couch, still wearing last night's dress, mascara smeared down her cheeks, and let herself break down. 4 years. 4 perfect, stable, safe years. Gone in 30 seconds of video she couldn't even remember. She was still crying when someone knocked on her door an hour later. Hope surged. Maybe it was Marcus. Maybe he'd come to hear her out. Maybe. She yanked open the door and found her boss instead. Mr. Harrison looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight from foot to foot. Sandra. Can I come in? Mr. Harrison, this isn't a good time. I know. I saw the video. Everyone saw the video. He walked in without waiting for permission, and Sandra was too exhausted to protest. I need to talk to you about something important. About last night. I don't remember last night. I know. And that's actually what I need to talk to you about. He ran a hand through his thinning hair. I think you should take some time off. Paid leave. Let this blow over. You're suspending me? I'm protecting you. And honestly, the company. This video has already reached some of our clients. The optics aren't good. The optics? Sandra's voice rose. I was drugged. Someone put something in my drink and I can't remember anything and my entire life is falling apart and you're worried about optics? Sandra, lower your voice. I understand you're upset. Upset? Upset? She was shouting now, weeks of being careful and professional and perfect finally cracking. My boyfriend just broke up with me via text. I woke up in a stranger's bed. I'm trending on Twitter as a cheater when I can't even remember what happened. And you're here to fire me? I'm not firing you. I'm suggesting a leave of absence until this situation resolves itself. And if it doesn't resolve itself? Harrison's silence was answer enough. Get out, Sandra said quietly. Get out of my apartment. Sandra. Now. He left. The door closed. Sandra stood in the middle of her apartment, in her wrinkled dress, and realized with crystal clarity that she'd lost everything in less than 12 hours. Her boyfriend. Her job. Her reputation. Her sense of who she was. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but some part of her was desperate for any human connection that wasn't judgment. Hello? Ms. Williams? This is Detective Kim Mi-sun with the Seoul Metropolitan Police. I need to speak with you about Lee Min-jun and the events of last night. Can we meet? Subscribe right now because Sandra's life is about to get even more complicated, and trust me, you don't want to miss what Detective Kim is about to reveal. They met at a quiet cafe in Hongdae, away from the business district where Sandra might run into colleagues. Detective Kim was early 40s, sharp-eyed, professional in a way that made Sandra feel slightly less like her life was a complete disaster. Thank you for meeting me, Detective Kim said, sliding a coffee across the table. I know this must be a difficult time. That's one way to put it. I want to be direct with you, Ms. Williams. You're not the first woman to wake up in Lee Min-jun's bed with no memory of how you got there. Sandra's coffee cup froze halfway to her lips. What? In the past 18 months, 7 women have reported similar experiences. Memory loss. Waking up with Min-jun. All of them eventually recanted their statements. Either because they were scared, paid off, or, Detective Kim paused. Convinced nothing actually happened. Did anything happen? With the other women? We don't know. No one would testify. But you, Ms. Williams, are different. You have video evidence. Public evidence. You work for a company we've been investigating. And you, whether you know it or not, are potentially a very important witness. Witness to what? Detective Kim pulled out a folder, slid photos across the table. Sandra's hands shook as she looked at them. Her boss, Mr. Harrison, meeting with Min-jun, multiple photos. Different locations. Money clearly changing hands. Documents being exchanged. Your company, Harrison International, has been laundering money for Min-jun's operations for the past year. We've been building a case. Your boss is involved. And last night, you became visible in a way that makes you either a target or an opportunity. Possibly both. Sandra's mind reeled. You think Harrison set me up? I think someone drugged you. Whether it was Min-jun himself, someone working for him, or someone with different motives entirely, I don't know. But that video is very convenient. Very public. It feels orchestrated. And you're caught in the middle of something dangerous. What do I do? Ideally? You cooperate with us. Help us build our case against Harrison and Min-jun. In exchange, we offer protection and help clear your name. And if I don't? Detective Kim's expression softened slightly. Then you're on your own in a very dangerous situation. And people who get caught between Min-jun and his business rivals tend to disappear. The word disappear hung in the air like smoke. I need time to think, Sandra managed. You don't have much time. But here, Detective Kim slid a card across the table. Call me when you're ready. Preferably before something worse happens. Sandra walked home in a daze, Detective Kim's warning echoing in her mind. Dangerous. Disappear. Target. Words that belonged in movies, not in her life. She was a marketing executive. She went to meetings. She made PowerPoint presentations. She didn't get caught up in mob investigations. She was so lost in thought she didn't notice her apartment door was unlocked until she walked inside and found Min-jun sitting on her couch. How did you get in here? I own this building. Did you not know that? He looked completely comfortable, like showing up in her apartment uninvited was perfectly normal. How was your meeting with Detective Kim? Are you following me? I'm protecting you. There's a difference. He stood, moved toward her kitchen. Do you have coffee? We need to talk and you look like you need caffeine. You can't just break into my apartment. Technically, I didn't break in. I have a master key. Again, my building. He found her coffee, started making a pot like he belonged there. The domestic gesture was jarring coming from someone who apparently ran organized crime operations. Detective Kim showed you the photos. Harrison and me. The money laundering. Am I right? How do you know what she showed me? Because I know how she operates. She's good at her job. Thorough. She wants to arrest me and she thinks you're her way in. He turned, leaned against her counter. In casual clothes, dark jeans, gray Henley, he looked almost normal. Almost. But what she didn't tell you is why Harrison would drug you. You're saying he did it? I'm saying someone did it. And I have a theory. Minjun pulled out his phone, showed her security footage she hadn't seen before. This is from the bar last night. Watch. The footage showed Sandra with her coworkers. Her boss ordering a round of drinks. A man Sandra didn't recognize approaching the bar. The bartender distracted. The man dropping something in a glass. The bartender returning, serving the drinks. Sandra taking the one that had been doctored. Who is that? Sandra asked, voice barely above a whisper. His name is Chen. He works for my rival, Choi Dae-young. Choi wants to take over my operations in Seoul. He's been looking for leverage. A way to make me vulnerable. I don't understand. How does drugging me help him? Because he knows something about me that very few people know. Minjun's voice softened, became almost vulnerable. I have a weakness for protecting people who can't protect themselves. Especially women. It's probably my one redeeming quality. So Choi sets up a scenario where you're drugged, vulnerable, and I intervene. The video makes it look like I took advantage of you. Ruins my reputation, makes me look like exactly the monster everyone already thinks I am. And if that doesn't work, he has you, someone now connected to me in the public eye, as potential leverage. That's insane. That's business. Criminal business, but business nonetheless. Sandra sank into a chair. So what actually happened last night? After the video? I saw you stumbling. Recognized the signs of rohypnol. Knew if I didn't get you somewhere safe, Chen would take you and you'd end up dead or worse. So I took you to my penthouse. Put you in my bed. Slept in the guest room. Nothing happened beyond what's in that video. Which, admittedly, looks very bad. Why should I believe you? Because if I wanted to hurt you, I would have. Because I'm being honest about the money laundering with Harrison, that part is true. And because, he moved closer, and Sandra's breath caught. Because when you kissed me last night, you said my name like it meant something. Like maybe in some other life, some other circumstance, we could have been something real. And I'm not in the habit of taking advantage of women who look at me like that. The air between them felt electric. Dangerous. Sandra forced herself to look away. Even if I believe you, it doesn't change anything. Marcus is gone. My job is gone. My life is ruined. Your old life is ruined, Minjun corrected. But maybe that's not entirely a bad thing. How can you say that? Because I watched the security footage from earlier in the evening. Before you were drugged. You were laughing with your coworkers but your eyes were sad. You were checking your phone constantly, waiting for messages from your boyfriend. You were performing happiness instead of feeling it. That video going viral didn't ruin your life, Sandra. It revealed it. The observation cut deeper than it should have. Because he wasn't entirely wrong. She'd been feeling restless lately. Disconnected. Going through the motions. But she'd convinced herself it was just stress, just the long distance, just temporary. You don't know anything about me. I know more than you think. I know you're smart enough to be suspicious of all of this. I know you're brave enough to meet with Detective Kim even though you're scared. I know you're loyal enough to try to save a relationship that was already ending. And I know, he paused. You're the first person in years to make me want to be honest about who I am. Stop, Sandra said, but her voice lacked conviction. You're just trying to manipulate me. Probably. But that doesn't make it less true. He moved toward her door. I'm going to leave now. Give you space to think. But you should know. Choi isn't done with you. He's going to make another move. And when he does, I'm the only one who can keep you safe. The police can't protect you. They can only arrest people after crimes are committed. I can stop the crimes before they happen. There's a difference. He opened her door, paused. The security guard downstairs is one of my people now. He'll make sure no one unwanted gets up here. Lock your door, Sandra. And call me when you're ready to hear the rest. Then he was gone, leaving Sandra alone with too many questions and the uncomfortable realization that some part of her had wanted him to stay. Drop a comment right now, Team Marcus or Team Minjun? Because Sandra's about to make a choice that changes everything. The next 3 days were a blur of isolation and anxiety. Sandra didn't leave her apartment. Marcus wouldn't return her calls. Her phone became an instrument of torture, constantly lighting up with messages from people who wanted gossip, not to help. Then, on the 4th day, Marcus showed up. She opened the door and her heart shattered all over again. He looked terrible, eyes red-rimmed, face drawn. He'd been crying. Marcus never cried. Can I come in? She stepped aside wordlessly. He walked to her couch, sat down like the weight of the world was on his shoulders. Sandra perched on the edge of her chair, afraid to get too close, afraid to hope. I've been thinking, he started. About us. About the video. About everything. Marcus, I swear I don't remember. I know. I believe you. The admission made her heart leap. I had a conversation with my sister. She pointed out that you've never given me any reason not to trust you. For years and you've been nothing but loyal. And that video, as much as it killed me to watch it, you did look off. Not yourself. I was drugged. Minjun showed me security footage. Someone put something in my drink. Minjun. The gangster you spent the night with. I didn't spend the night with him. Not like that. He says nothing happened. That he was protecting me. Marcus laughed bitterly. Protecting you. By taking you to his bed. I know how it sounds. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, the woman I love, the woman I was going to propose to, spent the night with a criminal who's now convinced her he's some kind of hero. He showed me evidence. Proof that someone targeted me. Or he's manipulating you. Making himself look good so you don't press charges. So you don't go to the police. Marcus ran his hands through his hair. This is insane, Sandra. This whole situation. And I don't know how to process this. Tell me what you need. I'll do anything. I need to know if you have feelings for him. The question hung in the air. Sandra opened her mouth to say no immediately. To reassure him. But the denial stuck in her throat because she wasn't entirely sure of the answer. I don't even know him, she said finally. That's not what I asked. Marcus pulled something from his pocket. The ring box. Sandra's breath caught. He opened it, and the diamond caught the afternoon light, beautiful and accusatory. I bought this 3 months ago. I had tonight planned perfectly. Your favorite restaurant. Rose petals. The whole thing. I was so excited to start our life together. To make it official. His voice broke. But I can't give this to you now. Not when I'm not sure you want it. Of course I want it. I want you. I want us. Do you? Because when I look at that video, you're kissing him like you wanted him. And maybe that was the drugs, maybe it was manipulation, but there was something real there. I could see it. Marcus. I'm going back to the States for a few weeks. Give us both time to think. Figure out what we really want. He set the ring box on her coffee table. If you still want to be with me when I get back, if you're absolutely sure, then maybe we can work through this. But right now, I'm not sure either of us knows what we want. Please don't go. I have to. I love you, Sandra. But I can't compete with whatever this is. And I shouldn't have to. He stood, moved toward the door. Take care of yourself. Be careful with that guy. And think about what you really want from life. Not what you think you should want. What you actually want. He left. The door closed. Sandra stared at the ring box on her coffee table, symbol of a future that was slipping away, and felt something crack inside her chest. She lasted exactly 20 minutes before she grabbed Minjun's card and called. He answered on the first ring. Sandra. I need answers. Real ones. Everything you know. No more games. Come to my penthouse. I'll tell you everything. I'm not going to your penthouse. Neutral location. The cafe in Itaewon. 1 hour. Bringing Detective Kim as backup? Should I? Only if you want witnesses when I tell you things that will probably implicate me in several crimes. Your choice. Sandra arrived at the cafe 45 minutes later. She couldn't wait the full hour. Minjun was already there, corner booth, back to the wall like someone expecting trouble. He stood when he saw her, pulled out her chair. You came alone. I want to hear what you have to say without police interference. Doesn't mean I trust you. Fair enough. He waited until she sat before returning to his seat. What do you want to know? Everything. Starting with why Harrison is laundering money for you. Because I offered him a deal he couldn't refuse. His company was failing. I provided capital in exchange for laundering services. Clean money comes in through legitimate contracts, dirty money comes out through creative accounting. Standard operation. And Detective Kim knows this? She suspects. Can't prove it. Yet. What about Choi? Your rival? Why does he want to destroy you? Because I took something from him. Territory in Gangnam. Profitable contracts. His pride. He's been looking for a way to hurt me personally for months. You became that opportunity. So this is all about business? Criminal enterprises are still enterprises, Sandra. Money, power, territory, it all matters. You just got caught in the crossfire. Sandra processed this, trying to separate fact from manipulation. What happens now? To me? That depends. Choi thinks you matter to me. If we convince him you don't, he loses interest, you go back to your life. If we convince him you do matter, he tries to use you against me. Which option keeps me safer? Neither. Both. It's complicated. Stop saying that. Sandra's voice rose, drawing looks from other patrons. She lowered it. Stop telling me it's complicated. Stop being vague. I need clear answers. I need to know if I'm in actual danger or if this is just you trying to keep me close for some reason. Minjun leaned forward, his expression serious. You want the truth? Real, unvarnished truth? Yes. You're in danger. Real danger. Choi doesn't do anything halfway. He's going to make another move against me, and you're now a visible connection. Even if I wanted to cut you loose, which, he paused. I don't, by the way. Even if I did, Choi would still see you as leverage. The only way out of this is through it. Through it how? We make Choi think you're important to me. Important enough that hurting you would hurt me. Then we use that to lure him out. Set a trap. Detective Kim gets her arrests, Choi gets neutralized, and you get your life back. You want to use me as bait. I want to use us as bait. You're not doing this alone. And what makes you think I'll agree to this insane plan? Because you're smart enough to know it's your only option. And because, he reached across the table, took her hand. The touch sent electricity up her arm. I think you're curious. About this. About us. About what that kiss might have meant if circumstances were different. Sandra pulled her hand back, even though every nerve ending protested. There is no us. I have a boyfriend. Had a boyfriend. Marcus and we're working through things. Are you? Because he left you with a ring and a guilt trip instead of support and trust. You don't know anything about our relationship. I know he gave up on you in less than a day. I know he's asking you to prove yourself to him instead of believing in you automatically. And I know if you were mine, nothing in the world would make me walk away when you needed me most. The words hung between them, heavy with implication. Sandra's heart raced, and she hated that it wasn't just fear. There was attraction there. Undeniable. Inconvenient. Completely inappropriate given the circumstances. This is crazy, she whispered. Welcome to my world. It's not safe, it's not sane, but it's honest. I won't lie to you, Sandra. I won't pretend to be something I'm not. I'm a criminal. I do illegal things. I probably don't deserve redemption. But I can promise you protection. I can promise you honesty. And I can promise you an adventure that's a lot more interesting than marketing presentations. Sandra laughed despite herself. You're trying to recruit me into crime? I'm trying to keep you alive. The adventure is a bonus. His smile was devastating. So what do you say? Trust the system that's already failed you, or trust the criminal who's at least being honest about his intentions? Before Sandra could answer, her phone rang. Detective Kim. She answered. Detective? Ms. Williams, where are you right now? A cafe in Itaewon. Why? Are you alone? Sandra looked at Minjun. No. Is Lee Minjun with you? Yes. Stay there. Don't move. We have a situation. What kind of situation? Your boss, Harrison. He was found dead in his office an hour ago. Apparent suicide. But the forensics team thinks it was staged. And Ms. Williams, Detective Kim's voice dropped. Your fingerprints are on the suicide note. Smash that subscribe button because this story just went from complicated to deadly, and you need to see what happens next. Sandra's world tilted. That's impossible. I haven't been to the office in days. I know. Which means someone planted evidence. Someone who had access to your things. Someone who wants you to look guilty. Stay where you are. I'm sending a unit to bring you in for questioning. Do not leave with Minjun. The call ended. Sandra stared at her phone, then at Minjun, who had clearly heard everything. She thinks you're going to disappear me, Sandra said. She thinks I'm going to take you somewhere they can't find you. And honestly, he stood, pulled out cash for their untouched coffee. That's exactly what I'm about to do. What? No. I need to stay here. Talk to the police. Clear this up. Clear it up how? Someone planted your fingerprints on a suicide note for a murder you didn't commit. While you're sitting in a police interrogation room trying to prove your innocence, Choi is out there planning his next move. You'll be a sitting duck. And if I run, I look guilty. You look alive. There's a difference. He held out his hand. Trust me or trust the system. Your choice. But make it fast because Detective Kim's unit is probably 5 minutes away. Sandra looked at his outstretched hand. At the cafe door. At her phone with Detective Kim's contact glowing on the screen. Every rational bone in her body screamed to wait for the police. But rationality had abandoned her 3 days ago when her life imploded. She took his hand. They moved fast, out the back exit, into a waiting car. Not Minjun's usual expensive sedan but something nondescript. Smart. The driver, a woman in her 30s, competent looking, didn't ask questions, just drove. "Where are we going?" Sandra asked. "Somewhere safe. Where we can think. Figure out our next move." "Our next move?" "There's no R here. I'm not part of your criminal empire. You became part of it the moment someone planted your prints on that note. Like it or not, Sandra, you're in this now." Deep. They drove for 20 minutes, leaving the main districts, heading toward the outskirts of Seoul. The car pulled up to what looked like a traditional Korean house, tucked away behind high walls and cherry blossom trees. "Safe house," Minjun explained, helping her out of the car. "No one knows about this place except my most trusted people. You'll be secure here while we figure out what Choi's planning." The interior was surprisingly beautiful, modern amenities mixed with traditional Korean aesthetics. Warm wood, soft lighting, comfortable furniture that didn't scream criminal hideout. "I can't believe I'm doing this," Sandra said, pacing the main room. "I'm hiding from the police with a mobster. This is insane." "Not a mobster. I prefer entrepreneur with flexible ethics." Minjun moved to the kitchen, started making tea with practiced ease. "And you're not hiding. You're strategically regrouping. My fingerprints are on a murder note. Which means someone has access to your apartment. To your things. They've been planning this." He brought her tea, pressed the warm cup into her shaking hands. "Drink. It'll help." Sandra drank, hating that he was right. The warmth steadied her slightly. "How do we prove I didn't do it?" "We don't. We prove who did do it. Choi wants to frame you, which means he needs you to look guilty, which means he needs you isolated and scared and making mistakes. So we do the opposite. We stay calm, we gather evidence, and we expose him before he can make his next move." "How?" "By giving him what he wants. Me, vulnerable. You, apparently important to me. We set a trap." "You keep saying that but you're not explaining how." "Because I'm still working out the details. This," he gestured between them, "is complicated. I need to make it convincing without actually putting you in real danger. I need Choi to believe you matter while keeping you safe. It requires finesse." Sandra set down her teacup with shaking hands. "What if I actually did kill Harrison? What if I went there during my blackout and I just don't remember?" "You didn't." "How can you be so sure?" "Because Harrison was killed with a professional hit. Single shot to the back of the head, execution style. You don't have those skills. And even if you did, you wouldn't stage it as a suicide. You're smarter than that. You have a lot of faith in someone you barely know. I'm an excellent judge of character. Comes with the territory." He sat beside her on the couch, close enough that she could feel his warmth. "Tell me about Marcus. Why do you love him?" The question surprised her. "Why does that matter?" "Because if we're going to convince Choi that you chose me over him, I need to understand what I'm competing with. Even hypothetically." Sandra thought about it. Really thought about it for the first time in days. "He's safe. Predictable. Stable. He makes me feel like I have solid ground under my feet. With him, I knew exactly what my life would look like in 5 years, 10 years, forever." That sounds boring, not romantic. Not everyone wants adventure. Some of us want peace. Is that what you had? Peace? Sandra opened her mouth to say yes, then stopped. Because when she really examined it, the last few months with Marcus had felt more like going through motions than genuine happiness. The spark had dimmed. They'd been building a life together but had stopped actually living. "It was comfortable," she said finally. "Comfortable. The death of passion everywhere. Minjun's voice held no judgment, just observation. What about now? How do you feel now? Terrified. Confused. Like my whole life is falling apart. But also, she hated admitting this. Also more alive than I've felt in months. Like everything's in sharp focus. Like I matter in a way I didn't before. That's adrenaline. Fear response. Is it? Because even knowing I'm in danger, even knowing I should be paralyzed with fear, part of me feels, she struggled for the word. Awakened. Like I've been sleepwalking through my life and suddenly I'm conscious. Minjun was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. That kiss. In the bar. Before you were fully under the influence of the drugs. Do you remember any of it? Flashes. The way you looked at me. The heat. Feeling like I was falling. You said my name like a prayer. Like I was the answer to a question you'd been asking your whole life. Even drugged, even not fully conscious, there was something real there. That's not fair. You can't use that against me. I'm not using it against you. I'm acknowledging it. This thing between us, it's not just circumstance. It's chemistry. Undeniable, inconvenient chemistry that would exist whether or not Choi was trying to kill you. Sandra stood, putting distance between them. Even if that's true, and I'm not saying it is, it doesn't matter. You're a criminal. I'm trying to clear my name. This isn't a romance novel. This is my life falling apart. What if it's your life falling into place? What if everything that's happened, terrible as it is showing you what you really want versus what you thought you should want? Stop trying to philosophize my trauma. I'm not. I'm trying to give you perspective. You keep talking about your life being ruined, but from where I'm sitting, your life was already a prison. Safe boyfriend. Boring job. Laundering money for criminals without even knowing it. That video didn't ruin anything. It freed you. Freed me? Freed me? Sandra's voice rose. I lost my boyfriend, my job, my reputation. I'm wanted for questioning in a murder. How is any of that freedom? Because now you get to choose who you want to be. No more performing. No more pretending. Just you, in all your messy, complicated, beautiful reality. The compliment hit harder than it should have. Sandra fought against the warmth spreading through her chest. You don't know me well enough to call me beautiful. I know you're brave enough to trust a criminal to keep you safe. I know you're smart enough to question everything, including me. I know you're loyal enough to try to salvage a relationship that was already broken. And I know, he stood, moved closer. You're strong enough to survive whatever comes next. That's beautiful, Sandra. That's the most beautiful thing I've seen in years. The air between them crackled with tension. Sandra's heart hammered against her ribs. She should step back. Should maintain distance. Should remember that this man was dangerous in more ways than one. Instead, she found herself asking, why do you care? Really? What's in this for you? Honestly? I don't know. I should have let you go. Should have cut ties the moment that video went viral. But there's something about you that makes me want to be better than I am. Makes me want to deserve the way you looked at me in that bar before everything went wrong. That wasn't real. That was drugs. Was it? Or did the drugs just remove your inhibitions? Let you feel what you were already feeling? You're twisting everything. I'm being honest. Maybe for the first time in my life. He was close enough now that she could see gold flecks in his dark eyes. You want to know what I think? I think you've been playing it safe for so long you forgot what it feels like to take a risk. To want something just because you want it, not because it makes sense. And you think I want you? I think part of you does. I think that terrifies you. And I think if circumstances were different, if I wasn't a criminal, if you weren't framed for murder, if that video didn't exist, You'd never let yourself explore what this could be. Because it's a bad idea. The best things usually are. They stood there, inches apart, the air heavy with everything unsaid. Sandra's phone buzzed, breaking the moment. Detective Kim. I have to answer this. Should you? She'll track my location if I don't. Better to control the narrative. Sandra answered. Detective Kim. Where are you? My officers said you disappeared from the cafe before they arrived. I got scared. Thought it was safer to move. Are you with Lee Min-jun? Yes. Ms. Williams, I need you to listen very carefully. Min-jun is dangerous. Whatever he's told you, whatever he's promised, it's manipulation. Come to the station. We can protect you. How? You couldn't protect Harrison. Harrison was killed because he was going to talk. We'd offered him a deal, testimony against Min-jun in exchange for reduced charges. He died before he could take it. Sandra looked at Min-jun. Is that true? Was Harrison about to testify against you? He didn't deny it. He was considering it. Did you kill him? No. But Choi did. To frame you and destabilize my operations. 2 birds, 1 bullet. Ms. Williams? Detective Kim's voice in her ear. Sandra, are you okay? I need time. To think. To figure out what's real. Time is a luxury you don't have. Evidence is piling up. Your fingerprints. Security footage showing you near Harrison's office building 2 days ago. Witness statements that you and Harrison argued recently. The case against you is building, and if you don't come in voluntarily, you'll be arrested. Is that what you want? I didn't kill him. Then prove it. Come in. Talk to us. Let us help you. Sandra looked at Min-jun, who was watching her with an unreadable expression. What do I do? She mouthed. He took the phone gently from her hand. Detective Kim. This is Min-jun. Let her go. You're making everything worse. Actually, I'm keeping her alive. Which is more than your protection could do for Harrison. This is kidnapping. This is sanctuary. There's a difference. Sandra came with me willingly. She can leave whenever she wants. But while she's with me, no one touches her. Can you promise the same? Silence on the other end. That's what I thought, Min-jun continued. So here's what's going to happen. Sandra and I are going to find evidence proving Choi killed Harrison. We're going to hand you that evidence on a silver platter. And in exchange, you're going to clear Sandra's name and leave us alone. Everyone wins. Except I can't trust anything you give me. You don't have to trust me. You just have to trust the evidence. Which will be genuine, verified, and absolutely admissible in court. Do we have a deal? You're putting her in danger. She was already in danger. I'm just giving her a fighting chance. He handed the phone back to Sandra. Tell her. Sandra took the phone, her mind racing. Detective Kim, I'm staying with Min-jun. For now. I'll contact you when I have something concrete. Sandra. I have to go. She hung up before she could second-guess herself. Silence filled the room. Sandra stared at her phone, at the decision she'd just made, and wondered if she'd lost her mind completely. That was brave, Min-jun said quietly. That was stupid. I just told a detective I'm working with a known criminal to solve a murder. I'm going to get arrested. Only if we fail. And we're not going to fail. He pulled out his laptop, opened it on the coffee table. Choi runs his operations through several legitimate businesses. Restaurants. Import-export companies. Real estate. I've been tracking his movements for months. If we can prove he was near Harrison's office building yesterday, we can place him at the scene. That's not enough. We need more than proximity. Agreed. Which is why we're going to do something incredibly dangerous and possibly stupid. What? We're going to break into Choi's office and find the evidence ourselves. If you think this plan sounds insane, drop a comment saying this is crazy. And hit subscribe because Sandra's about to make a choice that changes everything. Absolutely not, Sandra said firmly. That's breaking and entering. That's illegal. So is murder. And framing innocent people. At least our crime has a noble purpose. There's no noble way to commit a crime. You're thinking too much like a law-abiding citizen. You need to think like someone who's been framed for murder and has limited options. Minjun pulled up building schematics on his laptop. Choi's main office is in Gangnam. Security is tight but not impossible. We go in tomorrow night when his team is at their weekly shipment inspection. 2 hours to get in, find evidence, get out. How do you even know this plan will work? Because I've done it before. Successfully. Multiple times. That's not reassuring. It should be. It means I know what I'm doing. He looked up at her, expression serious. Sandra, I understand this is scary. I understand you've never broken the law before. Besides allegedly murdering my boss, you mean? Besides the murder you didn't commit, yes. But sometimes the law fails people. Sometimes the system doesn't work. And in those moments, you have to decide whether you're going to be a victim of circumstances or take control of your own story. By becoming a criminal myself? By becoming someone who fights back. There's a difference. Sandra paced the room, mind racing through options that all seemed terrible. Go to the police and potentially get arrested for a murder she didn't commit. Stay hidden and look guilty. Or break into a mobster's office to steal evidence that might not even exist. This is the worst set of choices I've ever had. Welcome to my world. Bad choices are kind of my specialty. Despite everything, Sandra almost laughed. How are you joking right now? Because humor is how I cope with a life of constant danger. Also, you're cute when you're morally conflicted. Don't flirt with me while planning a felony. Why not? Life's short. Might as well multitask. His smile faded, becoming genuine. But seriously, Sandra. I won't force you to do anything you're not comfortable with. If you want to go to the police, I'll drive you there myself. If you want to disappear, I can arrange that too. But if you want to fight back, to take control of this situation instead of letting it control you, then I'm offering you a way to do that. Why? What do you get out of this? Revenge against Choi. Evidence to dismantle his operation. And, he hesitated. A chance to prove to you that I'm not just a criminal. That I'm someone capable of protecting the people I care about. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you're worth protecting. The words settled into Sandra's chest, warm and dangerous. She wanted to dismiss them, to maintain her anger and fear and certainty that this man was just manipulating her. But the sincerity in his eyes made that impossible. If we do this, she said slowly, if we break into Choi's office, what exactly are we looking for? Security footage. Financial records. Communication logs. Anything that ties him to Harrison's murder. Choi is methodical but arrogant. He keeps records of everything. We just need to find where. And if we get caught? We won't. But if we do? Then I take the fall. You were coerced. Under duress. Manipulated by a criminal. Your lawyer gets you a plea deal, you do minimal time, and your life eventually gets back to normal. That's a terrible backup plan. It's the best I've got. Take it or leave it. Sandra looked at him, really looked at him. At the tattoos that told stories she didn't know. At the eyes that held depths she'd only glimpsed. At the man who'd destroyed her life and was now offering to risk his freedom to save hers. This was insane. Absolutely insane. I need to sleep on it, she said finally. Give me tonight to think. I'll decide in the morning. Fair enough. Guest room is upstairs. Second door on the right. Lock if it makes you feel safer. Where will you sleep? Couch. Someone needs to keep watch anyway. Sandra nodded, suddenly exhausted beyond measure. Thank you. For not pressuring me. I'm many things, Sandra. But I try not to be a complete monster. She went upstairs, found the guest room exactly as promised. Clean, comfortable, with locks that actually worked. She secured the door, sat on the bed, and finally let herself fall apart. Silent tears for everything she'd lost. For Marcus, who'd given up on her so quickly. For her job and reputation. For the life she'd carefully built that had crumbled in 30 seconds of video. But also, and she hated admitting this, tears of relief. Because some buried part of her had been suffocating in that perfect, safe life. And now, terrifying as it was, she could finally breathe. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. I heard about Harrison. I'm so sorry. I don't believe you did it. Please be safe. Not come home. Not I believe in you completely. Not I'm coming to help you. Just be safe. Sandra typed and deleted 3 different responses before finally just turning off her phone. Tomorrow she'd decide. Tonight she just needed to survive. She woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of Minjun on the phone, speaking rapid Korean. She checked the time, 8 in the morning. She'd slept more soundly than she had in days. When she came downstairs, Minjun was in the kitchen making breakfast. Eggs, toast, fruit. Domestic in a way that seemed impossible for someone who ran criminal operations. Morning. Coffee's fresh. Thanks. She poured herself a cup, sat at the counter. Who were you talking to? My people. Getting intel on Choi's schedule. Confirming the shipment inspection is happening tonight. Making sure our window is as clear as possible. You're really serious about this. I'm always serious about revenge. And protection. He slid a plate toward her. Eat. You need energy. Sandra picked at the eggs, her stomach too knotted to really appreciate food. I've decided. He stopped what he was doing, turned to face her fully. And? I'll do it. I'll help you break into Choi's office. But on one condition. Name it. After this is over, after we clear my name and expose Choi, you let me walk away. Clean break. No more pulling me into your world. No more complications. Something flickered across his face, disappointment? Hurt, but he nodded. If that's what you want. It's what I need. Then you have my word. After tonight, if you want to walk away, I won't stop you. The promise should have made her feel better. Instead, it made her chest ache in ways she didn't want to examine. They spent the day preparing. Minjun taught her how to disable basic security systems, where to step to avoid pressure sensors, how to move silently through office spaces. He gave her dark clothes that fit surprisingly well and a small flashlight. Remember, we're in and out in under an hour. Stay close to me. Don't touch anything you don't have to. And if something goes wrong, we run. I know. Actually, if something goes wrong, you run. I'll create a distraction. I'm not leaving you behind. Yes, you will. Because your freedom matters more than mine. I've made my choices in life. I knew what I was getting into. You didn't. So if it comes down to it, you save yourself. Promise me. Sandra wanted to argue. But the intensity in his eyes stopped her. I promise. That evening, they drove to Gangnam in silence. Sandra's nerves were wire-tight, every muscle tense. This was really happening. She was really about to break into a crime lord's office. You okay? Minjun asked as they parked 3 blocks from the Target building. No. But I'm doing it anyway. That's what bravery is. Not the absence of fear. Just the decision to move forward despite it. He reached over, squeezed her hand. You've got this. The touch steadied her. She squeezed back. Let's do this before I change my mind. They approached the building through a service entrance. Minjun's security access worked, apparently he'd been planning this for a while. They slipped inside, moved through dim corridors, avoiding cameras with practiced ease. Choi's office was on the 15th floor. They took the stairs, silent and swift. When they reached his office door, Minjun pulled out tools Sandra didn't want to know about and picked the lock in under 30 seconds. Inside, the space was exactly what she expected, expensive, intimidating, full of dark wood and leather. Minjun went straight to the computer while Sandra searched the filing cabinets. Got something, Minjun said after 10 minutes. Security footage from Harrison's building. Choi was there yesterday afternoon. 2 hours before Harrison died. That's not enough. We need proof he went inside. Working on it. His fingers flew over the keyboard. His phone pinged inside the building. 9th floor. Harrison's office was on the 9th floor. Can you send that to yourself? Already done. Also copying his financial records. Look at this, payments to Chen, the guy who drugged you. Dated the same night you ended up at the bar. Sandra's hand shook as she photographed documents with her phone. Evidence of bribes. Witness tampering. Money laundering that made Harrison's operation look quaint. We need to go, Minjun said suddenly, closing the laptop. Security rotation changes in 5 minutes. They moved toward the door. Sandra's hand was on the handle when it opened from the other side. Choi Dae-young stood in the doorway, flanked by 2 large men. His smile was cold. Going somewhere? Hit that like button right now and subscribe because this story just took a major turn and you need to see what happens next. Minjun stepped in front of Sandra immediately, positioning himself between her and Choi. This doesn't concern her. Of course it does. She's the reason you're here, isn't she? Sandra Williams, the unfortunate marketing executive who got caught in our little war. Choi's English was perfect, precise. I must admit, I didn't expect you to bring her directly to me. Makes my job much easier. Your job? Removing problems. You're a problem, Minjun. Always have been. And now this lovely woman is collateral damage. Nothing personal. Everything's personal in this business, Minjun said calmly. But you made a mistake. What mistake? Thinking I'd come here without insurance. Minjun held up his phone. Everything we just copied? Already uploaded to Detective Kim's secure server. Along with a video confession I recorded earlier explaining exactly what we're doing here and why. If we don't check in within the hour, she gets everything. You're bluffing. Am I? Do you really want to test that theory? Choi's smile faded. You'd sacrifice yourself for her? How unexpectedly noble. Not noble. Practical. Sandra's innocent. The evidence proves it. Kill us and you just make her a martyr. Let us go and you get to live to scheme another day. Or I kill you both and disappear before the evidence reaches anyone who matters. You could try. But Detective Kim is already on her way here. I called her from the car. She'll arrive in, Minjun checked his watch. Approximately 3 minutes. So you need to decide fast. Let us walk away, or go down for murder in front of a dozen police witnesses. Choi's face darkened. You're lying. Maybe. Are you willing to bet your freedom on it? As if on cue, sirens echoed in the distance, getting louder. Choi's expression twisted with fury. This isn't over. Yes, it is. You lost the moment you involved her. Should have kept it between us. Minjun grabbed Sandra's hand. We're leaving now. Try to stop us and Detective Kim will add obstruction to your charges. They moved past Choi and his men, Sandra's heart hammering so hard she thought it might burst. They made it to the stairwell, started down, taking steps 2 at a time. Did you really call Detective Kim? Sandra gasped. Yes. Right before we went in. Told her where we'd be and when. Gave her everything we found. This was always the plan. You used us as bait. I used us as a solution. There's a difference. They burst out of the building just as police cars pulled up. Detective Kim stepped out, saw them, her expression torn between relief and fury. You two are under arrest. For what? We just handed you evidence of multiple crimes including Harrison's murder. You're welcome. Detective Kim grabbed Minjun's arm. You broke into a private office. Under duress. Coerced by threats against Ms. Williams' life. I'm sure her lawyer can make that argument very convincingly. You're impossible. I'm effective. There's a difference. He turned to Sandra. Detective Kim will take your statement. Tell her everything. The truth. All of it. She'll verify the evidence, clear your name, and you'll be free. What about you? I'll be fine. Always am. Minjun. This is where we say goodbye, Sandra. Remember? Clean break. That was the deal. Sandra's chest tightened. This was what she wanted. Freedom. Her old life back. Distance from the dangerous man who'd turned her world upside down. So why did it feel like losing something instead of gaining it? Thank you, she managed. For keeping me alive. Thank you for making me remember what it feels like to protect someone worth protecting. He smiled, that devastating smile that had started all of this. Go home. Go back to Marcus. Be safe and boring and happy. Then he was being led away by other officers, and Sandra was left standing on a sole street at midnight, holding evidence that would clear her name and wondering why victory felt so much like loss. 3 weeks later, Sandra sat in Detective Kim's office, signing the last of the paperwork. You're officially cleared of all charges, Detective Kim said. Choi's been arrested. His confession matched the evidence you and Minjun obtained. Harrison's murder is closed. You're free to go. Just like that? Just like that. Though I should mention, your boss, or former boss, was involved in criminal activities. The company is being investigated. You might want to find new employment. Already have an offer. Different company. Clean reputation. Fresh start. And Marcus? Sandra looked at the ring box in her purse. She still hadn't decided what to do with it. He's back in the States. We've been talking. Trying to figure out if there's anything left to save. Is there? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. What she didn't tell Detective Kim was that every conversation with Marcus felt hollow now. Like they were both going through motions, trying to resurrect something that had already died. He'd forgiven her for the video. Said he believed her innocence. But the spark was gone. The certainty that they were meant to be together had evaporated. And Minjun? Detective Kim asked carefully. What about him? He's been asking about you. Wants to know if you're okay. Sandra's heart skipped. He's still in custody? Released on bail pending trial. Though between you and me, most of the charges won't stick. He's good at keeping his hands technically clean. He'll probably get probation, community service, and be back to his usual operations within 6 months. That's it? After everything? That's the justice system. Imperfect but functional. Detective Kim leaned forward. He cares about you. You know that, right? He barely knows me. Sometimes that's all it takes. A moment. A connection. A person who sees you for who you really are instead of who you're trying to be. Sandra stood, gathered her things. I should go. Thank you for everything. Sandra? Detective Kim called as she reached the door. Life's too short to play it safe. Just saying. Sandra went back to her apartment, the one Minjun had said he owned but had allowed her to keep living in rent-free. She should have moved. Should have found somewhere without his fingerprints all over her life. But somehow she couldn't bring herself to leave. She was making dinner when someone knocked. Her heart leaped, stupid, hopeful heart, before she reminded herself it was probably a delivery or a neighbor. But when she opened the door, Min-jun stood there. No longer in the expensive designer clothes. Just jeans and a simple shirt. He looked almost normal. Almost. Hi. Hi. Can I come in? She should say no. Should maintain the boundaries she'd so carefully rebuilt. But she stepped aside and let him in anyway. I heard you were cleared, he said, standing awkwardly in her living room like he'd never been there before. Congratulations. Thanks to you. The evidence you gathered made all the difference. We gathered. Together. Give yourself some credit. I should thank you. For everything. For keeping me alive. For risking your freedom to clear my name. You already did. 3 weeks ago. Remember? Silence stretched between them, full of everything unsaid. Why are you here, Min-jun? Because I said I'd let you walk away. And I meant it. But I never said I wouldn't miss you. That I wouldn't think about you every day. That I wouldn't wonder if you were okay, if you were happy, if you ever thought about me. That's not fair. I know. But I needed you to know. Even if you choose Marcus. Even if you want nothing to do with me. I needed you to know that what happened between us was real. At least for me. Sandra's carefully constructed walls cracked. It was real for me too. That's the problem. Is it? A problem? Yes. You're a criminal. I'm trying to rebuild a normal life. We don't make sense. When did making sense become the most important thing? What about making each other feel alive? What about chemistry that doesn't care about logic? Chemistry isn't enough. Isn't it? Tell me you feel that with Marcus. Tell me he makes your heart race and your breath catch and your skin tingle. Tell me he makes you feel fully awake. Because if he does, I'll walk away right now and never bother you again. Sandra opened her mouth to lie. To say yes, Marcus made her feel all those things. But the words wouldn't come. Because he didn't. He never had. Marcus was safety and stability and the life she thought she was supposed to want. Min-jun was danger and uncertainty and the life she actually craved. I hate you for making me question everything, she whispered. I hate me for that too. He moved closer. But I'd do it all again. Every illegal thing. Every risk. Every moment of danger. Because it meant meeting you. Knowing you. Falling for you. Don't say that. Why not? It's true. I'm falling in love with you, Sandra Williams. Have been since you kissed me like I was your whole world even though you didn't know my name. Have been since you were brave enough to break into Choi's office with me. Have been since you looked at me like I was worth something more than my worst choices. This is crazy. We barely know each other. Then let's fix that. Have dinner with me. Coffee. A walk. Nothing illegal. Nothing dangerous. Just 2 people getting to know each other properly. And Marcus? Only you can answer what to do about Marcus. But before you decide, don't you owe it to yourself to explore what this could be? Without drugs, without danger, without murders and mobsters? Just us? Sandra looked at him, really looked at him. At the man who'd saved her life and turned it upside down. At the criminal with the surprisingly gentle heart. At the person who'd seen her at her worst and called her beautiful anyway. 1 coffee, she heard herself say. That's it. 1 coffee. And we'll see. His smile was like sunrise. 1 coffee. I can work with that. He left, and Sandra stood in her apartment feeling like she'd just made either the best or worst decision of her life. Possibly both. She picked up her phone, called Marcus. He answered on the third ring. Sandra. Hey. How are you? I'm okay. Good, actually. The charges were dropped. Everything's cleared up. That's great. I'm so relieved. When are you coming home? That's what I wanted to talk to you about. She looked at the ring box on her coffee table. I don't think I'm coming home. To Chicago, yes, eventually. But home to us. Marcus, I don't think we work anymore. Silence. Then, is this about him? The guy from the video? It's about me. About realizing I've been building a life I thought I should want instead of one I actually want. You're an amazing person. You deserve someone who loves you without reservation. And I think we both know I'm not that person anymore. So that's it? 4 years and you're just done? 4 years and I'm finally being honest. About what I want. Who I am. What kind of life makes me happy. And Marcus, you deserve honesty too. You deserve someone who's all in, without questions, without doubts. Someone who chooses you every single time without hesitation. He was quiet for a long moment. I really did love you, Sandra. I loved you too. I still do, in a way. But not the way you deserve to be loved. And I think deep down, you know that. Yeah. His voice was thick. I do. I just didn't want to admit it. We were comfortable for so long I forgot to check if we were actually happy. We weren't. Not really. Not for a while. So what now? Now we both get to figure out what we actually want. Who we actually are. Without each other. I hope you find what you're looking for, Sandra. I really do. Even if it's with a criminal who probably doesn't deserve you. She laughed through tears. Nobody deserves anybody. We just choose each other anyway. That's the whole point. They said goodbye properly this time. With kindness and respect and the acknowledgement that they'd both grown into different people who no longer fit together. It hurt, but it also felt right. Like setting down a burden she'd been carrying too long. Sandra looked at the ring box one last time, then put it in a drawer. Maybe someday she'd return it. Maybe someday it would just be a memory of a relationship that had been good for what it was, when it was, and had ended when it needed to. But tonight, she had a coffee date to prepare for. The next morning, Sandra met Min Jun at a small cafe in Buckshin, far from the business districts and prying eyes. He was already there when she arrived, 2 cups of coffee waiting. He stood when he saw her, and the gesture, so simple, so respectful, made her smile. You came, he said, pulling out her chair. I said I would. I know. But I wasn't entirely sure you meant it. He sat across from her, and in the morning light he looked different. Less dangerous. More human. Thank you. For giving this a chance. This isn't a chance at anything except conversation. You understand that, right? 1 coffee. That's all I'm promising. 1 coffee is enough. For now. He wrapped his hands around his cup, and she noticed his knuckles were scarred. Evidence of a life she couldn't fully imagine. So. Tell me about yourself. The real you. Not the marketing executive. Not Marcus's girlfriend. Just Sandra. The question caught her off guard. I don't know if I know who that is anymore. Then we'll figure it out together. Start with something simple. What do you actually like? Not what you think you should like. What brings you genuine joy? Sandra thought about it. Really thought about it. Thunderstorms. I love thunderstorms. The way they make everything feel alive and dangerous and beautiful. Marcus always wanted to close the curtains and pretend they weren't happening. Said they made him nervous. I love thunderstorms too. The chaos. The reminder that nature doesn't care about our plans or control. Really? You're not just saying that? I don't waste time lying about the small things. Life's too short. He leaned forward. What else? Horror movies. The terrible ones with bad acting and ridiculous plots. They make me laugh. I used to watch them alone because Marcus said they were stupid. They are stupid. That's what makes them perfect. What else? Sandra felt something loosen in her chest. Late night walks. Even in winter. Especially in winter. When the city is quiet and you can see your breath and everything feels like a secret. I do that too. Usually around 2 in the morning when I can't sleep. Why can't you sleep? Guilt, mostly. Conscience catching up with past choices. The usual criminal insomnia. His smile was self-deprecating. What about dreams? What did you want to be before life happened? A writer. I wanted to tell stories. Make people feel things. But it wasn't practical, so I went into marketing. Told myself it was still storytelling, just different. But it wasn't the same. Why did you stop? Fear, I think. Fear of failing. Fear of being not good enough. Fear of disappointing people who expected me to be practical and successful. Are you going to start again? The question was simple but profound. I don't know. Maybe. It's been so long. Fear is a terrible reason not to do something you love. Trust me. I'm an expert in letting fear make decisions. He reached across the table, not quite touching her hand but close. For what it's worth, I think you'd be an incredible writer. You see things other people miss. You notice the small moments that make life real. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you're brave even when you're terrified. I know you're loyal even when it costs you. I know you kiss like the world is ending and you're trying to memorize every second. His eyes held hers. I know you're the first person in years who's made me want to be honest instead of strategic. Sandra's breath caught. Minjun. I'm not trying to seduce you. Well, maybe a little. But mostly I'm just being honest. That's what you wanted, right? Real conversation. Real connection. This is me being real. It's terrifying. Good terrifying or bad terrifying? I don't know yet. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, sipping coffee, watching people pass by the window. It felt surreal, sitting with the man who'd been at the center of her life's implosion, having the most normal conversation she'd had in weeks. Can I ask you something? Sandra said finally. Anything. Why crime? You're clearly smart enough to do anything. Why choose this life? Minjun was quiet for a long moment. I didn't choose it. It chose me. I was born into it. My father was Yakuza. His father before him. I was trained from childhood to take over the family business. By the time I was old enough to understand I could choose differently, I was already too deep. Too many people depending on me. Too many enemies who'd kill me the moment I showed weakness. That sounds lonely. It is. Incredibly lonely. You can't trust anyone. Can't love anyone without putting them in danger. Can't be yourself because yourself is a liability. He met her eyes. Until recently. Until you. Don't put that on me. I can't be your redemption. I'm not asking you to be. I'm just saying you made me realize what I've been missing. Real connection. Honest emotion. Someone who sees me as a person instead of a criminal or a threat or an opportunity. I see you as all of those things. But you also see me as someone worth having coffee with. That's more than most people do. Sandra smiled despite herself. This is the weirdest first date I've ever had. Is it a date? I thought it was just coffee. It's definitely a date. Stop pretending otherwise. His smile was brilliant. Okay. It's a date. Best first date of my life, for the record. The bar must be pretty low. You'd be surprised. Most of my dates involve either people who want something from me or people who are terrified of me. You're neither. You're just, he paused, searching for words. Present. Real. Yourself. It's refreshing. They talked for another hour, conversation flowing easily from topic to topic. Books they loved. Places they wanted to visit. Childhood memories both beautiful and painful. Sandra found herself laughing more than she had in months, found herself forgetting to be guarded, found herself just being. When they finally left the cafe, the sun was high and Seoul was bustling around them. I should go, Sandra said reluctantly. I have a job interview this afternoon. New company. Fresh start. Good luck. Though you won't need it. They'd be lucky to have you. Thank you. For this. For just being normal with me. Can we do it again? Another coffee? Maybe dinner next time? Sandra knew she should say no. Should maintain distance. Should give herself time to fully process everything that had happened. But looking at him, at the hope in his eyes, at the vulnerability he was trying to hide, she found herself nodding. Dinner. But somewhere normal. No penthouse. No criminal activity. Just a regular restaurant where regular people eat. I can do regular. I'm excellent at regular. I'll be so regular you'll be bored. Somehow I doubt that. He walked her to the subway station, hands in his pockets, careful not to push for more than she'd offered. At the entrance, he hesitated. Sandra? Thank you. For giving me a chance when you had every reason not to. Don't make me regret it. I'll do my best. She descended into the subway, feeling his eyes on her until she disappeared from view. And for the first time since that viral video had destroyed her life, she felt something like hope. If you're loving Sandra's journey, hit that like button and drop a comment. Would you give Minjun a second chance? Subscribe to see where this story goes next. 3 months passed in a blur of coffee dates that turned into dinners that turned into long walks through Seoul at midnight. Minjun was true to his word, no criminal activity, no danger, just getting to know each other properly. He showed her his favorite bookstore, a tiny place in Insadong where the owner knew him by name. Took her to street markets and taught her to bargain in Korean. Introduced her to his grandmother, who lived in Busan and had no idea what he did for a living. She thinks I'm an import-export, he admitted as they rode the train back to Seoul. Technically accurate. Technically criminal. But she's 87 and happy. I'm not going to ruin that for her. Sandra learned things about him that didn't match the dangerous image. He volunteered at an animal shelter every Sunday. He couldn't cook to save his life but made excellent coffee. He was terrified of moths but handled business rivals without flinching. He cried during sad movies but never showed emotion during actual danger. He was complex and contradictory and completely captivating. And somewhere along the way, Sandra realized she was falling for him. Really falling. Not the drugged kiss version. Not the adrenaline-fueled attraction. Just genuine, terrifying, real love. They hadn't kissed since that first night. Not properly. Minjun was being careful, letting her set the pace, never pushing. It was driving her crazy. Finally, one night after dinner, walking along the Han River with the city lights reflecting on the water, she stopped. Minjun. Yes? I need you to kiss me. He turned to face her, surprise evident. Are you sure? I've been sure for weeks. I've just been waiting for you to make a move. I was giving you space. Time. Not wanting to pressure. Stop being respectful and kiss me already. He did. And it was nothing like that first viral kiss. This one was slow and deliberate and full of months of restraint finally breaking. His hands cradled her face like she was precious. Her fingers tangled in his hair, pulling him closer. They kissed until they were breathless, until other people walking by whistled and laughed, until the world faded into just the two of them and the river and the promise of something real. I'm in love with you, he said when they finally broke apart. Have been for months. Just thought you should know. I'm in love with you too. It's terrifying. The best things usually are. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true. He pressed his forehead to hers. Move in with me. Not the penthouse. I got a regular apartment. Normal building. No criminal associations. Just us. That's fast. We've been taking it slow for 3 months. How much slower do you want to go? What if it doesn't work out? What if it does? What if we're perfect together and we're wasting time being cautious when we could be being happy? Sandra thought about Marcus and his careful plans. About the ring that had sat in a box for months while he waited for the perfect moment. About playing it safe and comfortable and how that had made her feel like she was slowly disappearing. Okay. Okay? Yes. I'll move in with you. Let's be reckless together. Let's see what happens. His smile was incandescent. He picked her up and spun her around, laughing, and Sandra felt lighter than air. They moved in together the following month. The apartment was exactly what he'd promised, normal, comfortable, theirs. They painted the bedroom together, getting more paint on themselves than the walls. Argued about furniture placement. Discovered his terrible habit of leaving coffee cups everywhere and her inability to put dishes directly in the dishwasher. It was domestic and mundane and absolutely perfect. One Saturday afternoon, 6 months into living together, Sandra was writing at the dining table. She'd started again, finally, words flowing easier than they had in years, when Min-jun came home with a serious expression. We need to talk. Her stomach dropped. Those words never led anywhere good. About what? He sat across from her, took her hands. Detective Kim came to see me today. Choi's trial is finally happening. Next month. They want both of us to testify. Both of us? About that night. The evidence we gathered. Everything that happened. It means reliving all of it. Being in the public eye again. Probably more viral videos and speculation. I wanted to ask if you're okay with that. Because if you're not, I'll find another way. Sandra thought about it. About the viral video that had started everything. About how much she'd hated being watched, judged, discussed. But she also thought about the woman she'd been then, scared, hiding, letting circumstances control her, and the woman she was now. I'll testify. I'm not hiding anymore. Let them watch. Let them talk. I know who I am now. They can't take that away. You're incredible. You know that? I learned from the best criminal entrepreneur turned legitimate businessman I know. I'm still working on the legitimate part. But I'm getting there. He squeezed her hands. There's something else. After the trial, after all of this is really over, I want to ask you something important. But I need to wait until we're completely free of my past. Until I can offer you a real future. Sandra's heart raced. Min-jun. Don't say anything yet. Just know that I'm planning. That I'm building towards something. That you're my future, Sandra. If you'll have me. I'll have you. Criminal past and all. Even the tattoos? Especially the tattoos. They're growing on me. The trial happened on a cold November morning. Sandra wore a navy suit and held Min-jun's hand as they walked into the courthouse past cameras and reporters shouting questions. This time, she didn't hide. Didn't duck. Just walked forward with her head high. Her testimony was clear and confident. She told the truth, all of it. The drugging. The video. Harrison's murder. The evidence they'd gathered. Choi's threats. Every detail that had brought them to this moment. Choi's lawyer tried to discredit her. Called her a criminal herself for breaking into an office. Suggested she'd been complicit in Min-jun's operations. Implied the relationship was just manipulation. Sandra looked at Choi directly as she answered. I was drugged and framed by your client. He killed my boss and tried to destroy my life to hurt Minjun. Everything I did after that was survival. And yes, I fell in love with Minjun. But that doesn't change the facts. Your client is guilty. The evidence proves it. And no amount of attacking my character changes that truth. The courtroom erupted. The judge called for order. And Sandra sat back down next to Detective Kim, feeling stronger than she'd ever felt. Minjun testified next. He was calm, factual, unflinching. He admitted to his own crimes, the money laundering, the gray area operations. But he also made clear that Choi had crossed lines even criminals didn't cross. Had targeted innocents. Had killed without cause. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they returned, the verdict was unanimous. Guilty on all counts. Choi would spend the next 30 years in prison. Harrison's murder was solved. Sandra's name was officially cleared. It was over. Really, truly over. Outside the courthouse, Minjun pulled Sandra into a tight embrace. We did it. We actually did it. We're free. Completely free. He pulled back, looked at her with an intensity that made her breath catch. Which means I can finally ask you that important question I've been waiting to ask. Minjun, there are cameras everywhere. I don't care. Let them watch. Let them record. Let it go viral for all I care. I want everyone to see this. He dropped to one knee right there on the courthouse steps, pulling out a ring box. Sandra's hands flew to her mouth. Oh my God. Sandra Williams, you turned my life upside down in the best possible way. You made me want to be better. You made me believe I could be better. You chose me when you had every reason to run. You loved me when I didn't deserve it. And I want to spend the rest of my life earning that love. Marry me. Choose me. Let's build a life that's messy and real and completely ours. Tears streamed down Sandra's face. Behind them, cameras clicked. People stopped to watch. Reporters shouted questions. But all she saw was him. The dangerous criminal who'd become the safest person in her world. The man who'd destroyed her old life and helped her build a better one. Yes. God, yes. 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring onto her finger, simple, elegant, nothing like the one Marcus had chosen, and stood to kiss her. The crowd applauded. Cameras flashed. Someone shouted, "This is going viral." Sandra laughed against his mouth. Let it. I'm not hiding anymore. Never again. We're done hiding. They walked away from the courthouse hand in hand, flashbulbs popping, reporters calling after them. And this time, Sandra didn't care. Let them watch. Let them judge. Let them create whatever narrative they wanted. She knew the truth. She knew her story. And it was better than any video could ever capture. Smash that subscribe button right now because you need to see what happens at their wedding. Drop a comment saying I'm not crying, you're crying if this proposal got you emotional. And hit like if you believe the best love stories start with the worst circumstances. 1 year later, they stood in a small garden in Buckshin, surrounded by cherry blossoms and 50 of their closest friends and family. Detective Kim was there, surprisingly, having become an unexpected friend through the whole ordeal. Minjun's grandmother wore traditional hanbok and cried through the entire ceremony. Sandra's mother had flown in from the States, having finally accepted that her daughter's unconventional choice was genuine. Even Marcus sent a gift, a leather-bound journal with a note, for all the stories you're going to write. I'm happy you found what you were looking for. Be well. It was closure and blessing and everything Sandra needed to fully close that chapter. The ceremony was bilingual, honoring both their backgrounds. They'd written their own vows, and when it was Sandra's turn to speak, she looked at Minjun and felt her heart overflow. 1.5 years ago, a viral video destroyed my life. I lost my boyfriend, my job, my reputation. I woke up next to a stranger and thought my world had ended. But I was wrong. My world hadn't ended. It had just been waiting to begin. You didn't destroy my life, Minjun. You freed it. You showed me what it means to choose authentically instead of safely. To love recklessly instead of cautiously. To live instead of just existing. I choose you. Every day. In every way. For the rest of my life. There wasn't a dry eye in the garden. Minjun's vows were equally emotional. I've made a lot of bad choices in my life. Choices I'm not proud of. Choices that hurt people. But loving you? Choosing you? That's the one choice I got completely right. You saw past the criminal to the person. Past the danger to the heart. You made me believe I could be someone worth loving. And I promised to spend every day of our lives proving I'm worthy of that belief. I love you, Sandra. Completely. Forever. They kissed as husband and wife to thunderous applause, and Sandra tasted salt, tears of joy from both of them mixing with the kiss. It was messy and imperfect and absolutely perfect. At the reception, as they danced under strings of lights, Minjun whispered in her ear, "Have I mentioned I love you?" Only about 50 times today. But I'm not tired of hearing it yet. Good. Because I plan to say it 50 more times before bed. That's excessive. That's love. Excessive, ridiculous, all-consuming love. Sandra laughed, resting her head on his shoulder. You know what the crazy thing is? I'm glad that video went viral. I'm glad everything fell apart. Because it led me here. To you. To us. To this life we're building. Same. Though I wish the circumstances had been less traumatic for you. The trauma made us appreciate this more. Made us fight for it. Made us certain. Very philosophical, Mrs. Lee. I kept my last name, remember? Williams Lee. We agreed. Right. Very philosophical, Mrs. Williams Lee. They danced until their feet hurt, laughed until their faces ached, celebrated a love that had started in chaos and grown into certainty. And when the night ended and they drove home to their apartment, their home, Sandra felt complete in a way she'd never felt before. Not because she'd found a man to complete her. But because she'd found herself. Her voice. Her courage. Her choice. Minjun was just the beautiful bonus. The unexpected gift. The reminder that sometimes life's biggest disasters turn into its greatest blessings. That night, lying in bed with her husband, Sandra pulled out her laptop and started writing. Not marketing copy. Not safe, corporate storytelling. But her story. Their story. The truth about the viral video and the aftermath and the love that grew from the wreckage. What are you working on? Minjun asked sleepily. Our story. The real one. Not the version everyone thinks they know from that video. The actual truth. Are you going to publish it? Maybe. Someday. When we're ready to really own our narrative. We already own it. We're living it. True. But still. I want to write it down. Make it real in words. Then write it. I can't wait to read it. He kissed her temple. I love you, Mrs. Williams Lee. I love you too, Mr. Lee. She smiled, kept typing. Even if you did ruin my life. Best ruining you ever experienced. The only ruining I've ever experienced. Let's not make it a habit. Deal. From now on, only building. Creating. Growing. No more destroying. Except maybe destroying bad guys. You can still do that occasionally. Only for you, my love. Only for you. They fell asleep like that, Sandra typing their story, Minjun reading over her shoulder, both of them building a life that was nothing like they'd planned but everything they'd needed. And somewhere on the internet, that original video still existed. Still got views. still generated comments and speculation. But it didn't define them anymore. They'd taken control of their narrative. Written their own ending. One that started with a viral video and ended with a love story for the ages. If you made it all the way to the end of Sandra and Minjun's incredible journey, you're amazing. Drop a comment telling me what you loved most about this story. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss emotional, heart-racing love stories like this. And smash that like button if you believe sometimes the worst moments lead to the best outcomes. Thank you for being here for every twist, every turn, every moment of this beautiful mess of a love story. See you in the next one.